My name is Justin Bankwa. I'm the founder of the Discovery of Talent. I founded it in 2006, just 6 months when I came to the United Kingdom. Because I couldn't speak English, I desperately want some support. Unfortunately, on that time, I couldn't get the support I want. That's why it came to me an idea, I have to start something, otherwise those will come 5 years after me. They will have the same problem.
My name is Patrick, I said, and I've been involved in voluntary community service for so many years. I think for 7 or 8 years. I started in London because that's where I was living before. So I started, I think it was in 2003. I was involved in Refugee voluntary project because myself, I was an asylum seeker, and I lived the experience of seeing how we struggle to access certain services, mainstream services in London. So that's why it came into my mind the idea to join, one community organization providing help to refugees and asylum seekers. I was volunteer there. So it's like a passion for me because I've been in the same situation. I've experienced the same things like other asylum seekers and refugees. So that's where I started. And in 2008, I moved to Birmingham, and I met Justin, and I was very interested to the idea of trying to provide that kind of help and support to refugees and asylum seekers.
My name's Claire Payne. I'm a grants officer for the Barrack Abbey Trust, a funding programme under which Discovery of the Talents are supported, and which I sort of work on the grassroots grants, is our migration programme. So the Trust has a focus on creating a more even debate around migration, detoxifying the debate, making sure that particularly vulnerable groups of refugees and migrants, asylum seekers receive the support that they need, and trying to support groups working at a range of levels. So very much at the grassroots, providing frontline services to very vulnerable migrant groups, but then also working with organisations that are campaigning around policy areas and trying to link these organisations together to make sure that the grassroots groups of refugee community organisations is fed up to policymakers and parliamentarians, and hopefully used in the right way. And as part of that, we have this migration programme which is open, and we received a proposal from Discovery of the Talents, it would be several years ago now, which was, they were an organisation I'd never heard of before. The application was extremely ambitious. It was clear from the information they'd given that they were a relatively new group. I think at that time they'd only been set up for perhaps 12 months. They were unincorporated. They had very small pots of funding before, and they were asking, I think, for a very large amount of money to set up a centre that would be working with asylum seekers, refugees, vulnerable migrants from all backgrounds within Birmingham. And although I could see that there was something very interesting within the application, and that the organisation clearly had passion for the people that they wanted to help, it didn't seem to the Trust as if it was something that we could support at that level. But the way that we work is that we have a policy of going to meet people. So if we sort of think that there's something worth investigating within a proposal, we would always try and give the opportunity to the applicant to sort of, talk through, their aspirations, to try and get to know the people behind the proposal. And particularly in the case of Discovery of the Talents, their written English is not brilliant. So, again, trying to sort of absorb all the information you need from an application is not easy. So I went to Birmingham, met with one of the volunteers from the project, and had quite a kind of honest debate about the fact that the way in which the Trust works. We're obviously giving grants to people. We want to make sure that our money is relatively safe and spent in the right way, and that we felt there were certain risks around giving the amount of money that they were asking for to them. We didn't actually feel that they had the capacity to deal with that. So, for example, in setting up a centre, they had no experience of running a centre before. So we talked about things like, maybe it would be better to start having an office space paying rent and things like this, the insurance that goes with that, the rates, all those kinds of things. And Discovery of the Talents were very positive about that conversation. I think, although continue to be ambitious in their outlook, we're happy to sort of take our advice about is there something we can do that's a bit smaller, a pilot project. And also I remember one of the things I talked to them about was the fact that in their proposal they had talked about working with asylum seekers and refugees from sort of all ethnic and religious groups, and we were actually saying to them, who do you see on a daily basis? And it then turned out that it was predominantly French-speaking asylum seekers and refugees. So it was about emphasising to them, we don't want you to target people that actually wouldn't come to you anyway. Work with the people that you're comfortable with. Don't overstretch yourself. What are the particular areas of need for those groups of people?
My name's Dave Hurst. I'm the Organisations Development Officer for the BASIS project in the West Midlands.
David Hurst from the BASIS project, I can say, is one of the important person for the development of this organisation, because I know David, I think 4 years now. He helped us a lot. I even counted or say how much he helped us. The only thing I can say, he helped our organization so much to be where we are now, especially for the Birmingham Youth Service and the Barricade staff, the charity and the company application.
My involvement with the group as far as BASIS is concerned is that I supported them getting the premises here, and I helped them with the bid to the Barricade Trust. And I spent quite a lot of time with the grants officer from the Barricade Trust, who did a brilliant job in supporting the group and obviously helping to pay for the rent of this place.
So when I presented the proposal to trustees, so the way we work is, we meet a group, we work up a proposal. It can take 6 months sometimes, because obviously we want to make sure that it stands the best chance of being successful. When it went to trustee meeting, it was emphasised that this was a particularly risky group to support. This was the largest grant they had ever received. They were unincorporated. They were reasonably inexperienced, but keen to take advice. And so the trustees thought that a 12-month pilot was the best way to explore that. And I made it clear to trustees that I would sort of have a lot of contact with the group. So the way that we work is we operate a system called Funder Plus, which is providing extra support to groups, working at very different levels. Now, some groups won't need any support because they're very experienced and they know exactly what they're doing. But with Discovery of the Talents, it was clear that there were perhaps ways in which I could help them, linking them with training, talking to them about policies, looking at fundraising strategies, this sort of thing. So over that 12-month period, I kept in very close contact with them and was satisfied in myself that they were making good progress and learning. And also something that was very useful for me was I had met David Hurst from the BASIS project before the application came through. So one of the first things I did when I got the proposal was call him and say, is this group familiar to you? Can you tell me a little bit about them? And he was very honest about the fact that he thought they were a great group, but we shared concerns around some of the areas in which they were weaker, agreed with some of the areas they were clearly stronger, one of which was their passion and enthusiasm. But that also meant that over a 12-month period, David and I were in contact, probably at least once a month to talk about the group. And it also meant that when we came to the second grant, where we said that we were going to give them money to take on an office space, this may have been mentioned, but there was all sorts of trouble around trying to get the office space in the first place. And myself being based in London and not knowing all the networks in Birmingham, there was relatively little I could do about some of that. And I know that David did a huge amount in terms of challenging people around ridiculous prices of rent and things like that. And so it was really comforting to me to know that he was in the background. It was a safe pair of hands. Somebody I absolutely trusted for honest feedback on how the group were doing.
So I really admire the Barricade Trust for what they did. and a little bit of a risk for an unincorporated association. But on top of that, they actually, I believe they were kind of part of the development process, and the grant officer acted like a development officer, so we kind of worked together and worked with one another. And they're now phoning me up and saying, do you know this group? Can you give me a little bit of background? And I've got another group over in Smethwick that are possibly going to get some money from Barrack-Hadbridge. So it's a really good relationship. So I'm really pleased about that.
You can see some of certificates. We've done some training. This is our insurance. This is the post of our allotment. Like I said before, it is now on hold. This is one of the pictures for the previous work. Some people have been sent to us from the job center, and we are working with a lot of organizations.
The most exciting thing is just being able to give that help and support people from refugee background are facing all the barriers. So that's very, very nice for us. It's like very exciting. Being able to provide that service, that kind of support that people need. And another thing is the way we're progressing, because we were like a voluntary organization, a small one. Then we're kind of moving forward. Now it was only 3 people in the management committee at the beginning, and then it was 6 people in management committee. Then we've had many volunteers with the management committee, and now we're a company. So it's kind of the prospect seems very, very exciting.
All the services have been funded by the Barrack-Hadbridge at the moment, and all the services are free of charge. But we would like more resources on funding and people, because the work we are doing is not about money, but it's about the heart. Because we come from the background, we know the need of this background, and we try to do our best to help as much as we can.